Hey Wendy, so I figured it'd be easier just to do a little video for you showing you what I did for my summer curriculum project. Just probably a little bit easier as we get back to the school year. I know things get a little crazy. So I'm going to show you what I did. So it took some time figuring out how to use Adobe Captivate, unfortunately. But once I got the hang of it, I think it's going to be really useful for my students. So the goal of this project is to be able to assess my students quicker, because right now with SLOS it takes a whole day away from a class. So like we prep for it, and then when the actual day comes, my students are handed like a floor plan and a 3D view, and they have to recreate that on Revit. And unfortunately, I have no way of knowing what they're clicking at. Like, are they just clicking through all the tabs until they find it, or do they actually know the commands and know the software? So Adobe Captivate is hopefully, I mean, based on what I'm learning from it, it should be able to tell me kind of what my students know quickly. So here is an example. We'll get going. We'll do a preview of this project. So this is an example. So I made a bunch of assessments, and this one would be like right in the beginning. This is like one of the first things my students learn how to do on Revit, is creating a sheet, because as we go through the design process, we're documenting our work on our sheet. So that's really important to know how to create a sheet on Revit, how to add text in Revit, and then how to add images. So that's what we are going to go through here. So here, this is just like in preview mode, but the students will then click through here, and it's saying, hey, open a correct template file. So this is like bare minimum, like, do you know what template you're supposed to click on? So if I click on something wrong, you'll notice it says like, hey, incorrect, please try again, until I click on the correct one, architectural template. So then I would create a new 11 by 17 sheet by clicking over here and going down to sheets. And of course it decides to freak out on me and be slow. There we go, new sheet, and then go to load. And again, if I click on, like, say, the wrong thing, so if I click over here, it's saying, hey, incorrect. So what Adobe is actually doing is figuring out how many wrong clicks you're doing, and then it gives you a grade. So it's kind of cool. So that's kind of an example. So these are all the slides and all the clicks that the students have to go through to then add text onto their sheet, and then change the size on the sheet. And then at the end, the students get a result. So like, how many did you get right? And so I'm going to ask them to take a screenshot of this and submit that screenshot on Google Classroom, and that's how I would get their grade from it. This is like more informal though, like I just kind of want to get a quick assessment, so I'm okay with them just taking a screenshot. I don't think there's, how quickly I would want it done, I don't think they can manipulate their score, if that makes sense, you know, like take it into Photoshop or something. So they'll upload this with a whole screenshot with the time and the date at the bottom, so I would know, and that would be up on Google Classroom. So let me show you how that would work. So on Google Classroom, here's a Revit simulation. The only downfall I'm still trying to figure out with Adobe Captivate is, unfortunately, my students would have to download a whole zip file in order to have access to this, to their assessments. I was hoping to be able to like host them on a website and use a server, but that was being very complicated. So right now, which I have Frank and Kelly helping me out too, hopefully as we get to know the software better, it's a little bit more streamlined for our students to take these assessments. But for right now, on Google Classroom, this is what they would see. They would then click on this, and they would download this entire file. And then once they download the whole file, they would click on this index link. So let me show you what that would look like. So, give me a second. Oh boy, too many things. Here we go. So they would click on this index file, and then when they open up the index file, it's like a URL website, and then they would go through that there. So you can kind of see how that works. So it's pretty cool. I like this software. They can type on it, enter in the length. I can kind of walk them through what my expectations are. If I do something wrong, it tells them. So it's pretty cool. So that's kind of the overall of what I created. So I created formal assessments for my classes. I started with the beginning stuff, and then I'm hoping as the year goes on make more. But I just know as soon as I try this out with 28 kids, there's going to be things wrong or that don't work or whatever. So I didn't want to make too many, so I made enough to, like, you know, start me off with my first project in my classes, and then from there kind of figure out what worked, what didn't work, and then continue forward the rest of the year. So that's what I have. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you're having a great summer. See you soon.